Hi everyone, this is Stephanie from the Pasadena Public Library. Today I'm going to show you how to make these Japanese knot bags. This bag has a really cool knotting closure where one of the straps slides through the hole in the other strap. I really like it for carrying small craft projects or just running a quick errand where you just need to have a few things on you. First, you'll need your pattern piece printed out and taped together. Then you'll need two different kinds of woven fabric, half a yard each. I'm using a cotton canvas fabric as well as a quilting cotton for the lining. You'll also need your basic sewing tools like pins, fabric scissors, and something to mark your fabric with. Before you cut out, make sure that your fabric is folded in half like this, so that your selvage edges are meeting on one side. You'll need to fold your fabric either wrong sides together or right sides together and then cut out. This results in two pieces that are mirrored from each other. Now repeat these steps with the lining fabric to cut out two mirrored pieces from the lining. When you're all done, you should have two pieces for your lining and two pieces for your exterior. I'm using this cat fabric as my exterior. Notice how when I place both fabrics right side up, they are mirrored. Place your two exterior panels right sides together and pin along the bottom curved edge. We're going to stitch along this bottom curved edge from one side just below where the handle is to the other side. Do the same with your two lining pieces. Using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, start stitching the two layers together. Begin just below one of the handles and go along that bottom curve all the way over to the other side. Backstitch when you get just below the other handle. Now pin and stitch using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance along the tops of both handles. Now repeat these steps, sewing that bottom curve of the bag and that top seam of the handles with your lining panels. Now I'm going to clip the curves. So I'm basically just cutting some little V-shaped snips along the bottom curve of both the lining and the exterior piece. Be careful not to cut through your stitching. Now just press open the seams on the handles. This is a little harder to do with the shorter handle, but it still can be done. Now turn just one of your bag pieces right side out and place it inside the other bag so that they are right sides together. Make sure to line up the handles correctly. The seam on the handles should line up together. Now pin the inner part of the handles together all the way around. You're pinning the lining to the exterior of the bag. Once everything is pinned, you can remove the accessory table from your sewing machine so you can sew in the round, and then stitch using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around the inner part of the handles and the area in between the handles. You're just stitching in one big circle. Clip into the curved area in between the handles. Then reach into the side of the bag and pull the bag right side out. Then place the lining inside the exterior of the bag. Now we're going to press this area that we just stitched to create a nice crisp edge. Press all the way around the handles and in between the handles. Now we're going to top stitch this area. So I'm just stitching about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge along this inside curve of the bag and along the handles. The trickiest place to stitch is always along that short handle. Just take your time with it and it should be okay. All that's left to sew is the outer edges of each handle that are still raw and unstitched. Fold each of the raw edges inside for about 1/2 inch. Press them flat with your iron. Then I flip that strap over and do the same thing with the lining along the strap. As you can see, I have to use a slightly different technique to press the short handle than I used for the long handle. Then secure everything with pins. Now you're going to top stitch along the outer edge of each handle. I'm starting at the bottom edge of the short handle, and then I'm going to pivot and stitch all the way around this outer edge. It can be a little tricky because it is such a small circumference. Just take your time with it, and you may find that it's easier to just pull out the pins if they're getting in your way. Edge stitching along the edge of that long handle is going to be a lot easier because it does fit over the edge of my sewing machine. Now just give your bag a final press to make it nice and crisp. And we're done. So the way this bag works is you take the long handle and you put it through the hole in the small handle, and then you can just wear it on your wrist or your arm. It's also completely reversible, so if you like the look of your lining fabric, you can turn it the other way. So I hope you give this project a try. Happy sewing!